Is that all you have to say?" The deep, resonant voice made me flinch. I felt humiliated by my mother-in-law, unprotected by my husband, and even neglected by my daughter during this New Year's celebration. Just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, I felt like crying. My name is Tracy. I dropped out after middle school, started working right away, and got married in a shotgun wedding at 19. My parents are what you'd call gig workers. Unstable jobs mean unstable incomes. That's why I started working so young. I wanted to be independent and have my own cell phone. My husband Linus is 4 years older than me. We met at my workplace. I was captivated by his flashy appearance and wealth. We started dating and ended up in a shotgun marriage. I was 19, he was 23. The legal age in my state was 21, so both families were quite shaken, especially his grandfather, who was furious. He even hit my husband for getting involved with a minor. His grandfather is a strict, intimidating figure that everyone in the family fears. Because of his anger, our wedding was grand, and his family covered all the expenses. I was treated like a princess, treated with great care. That was the peak of my mother-in-law's kindness. 10 years into our marriage, she despises me. Her family runs their own business, founded by my grandfather-in-law, who's still the active CEO. He's a strong leader who's grown the company despite challenges. My mother-in-law manages the office as an executive. My husband works elsewhere now, but plans to take over the family business eventually. They have 70 employees and are apparently doing well. The life of such is wealthy. Their lifestyle is far more affluent than anything I've ever known. Every day, meals, clothing, New Year's celebrations, family gatherings, choosing a kindergarten for our daughter. Every time something comes up, the gap between me and my in-laws becomes painfully clear. I live a very ordinary life, but to my mother-in-law, I must seem poor. She's always frowning when she looks at me. At first, it was subtle digs, but now she openly dislikes me, calling me low class. I've been demoted from princess to servant. My husband initially tried to mediate between us, for the first few years at least. At some point, he started siding with his mother, because she gives him an allowance. She's essentially bought his loyalty. I give him a proper allowance from our household budget, $400 a month. I don't think it's a small amount, but he's chosen to side with her. I wonder how much she's giving him. Another depressing year-end is upon us. Since they run their own business, this is a busy time with client visits and year-end adjustments for employees. I've traditionally taken on the household chores for my in-laws during this period. I juggle this with my own work and household tasks. Tracy, make sure the laundry is done. Don't mess up the fabric softener for the towels. And the car needs washing. Don't skimp on the finish. For dinner, make beef stew. Beef, not chicken or pork. Your taste is inferior to ours. Don't leave water spots in the sink. Also, double check the names on the greeting card. All right, got it. I might as well be a housekeeper. If I were getting paid, I'd be more motivated. But there's not even a word of thanks. It's disheartening. Yet my mother-in-law, who claims she's too busy with work to handle household chores, somehow finds the time to critique my housekeeping. If I cut corners, she complains. It's a hassle. Ugh, car washing, huh? I guess just sticking it in a car wash won't cut it. It has to be spotless inside and out to pass her inspection. Washing a car in the cold at the end of the year is the last thing I want to do. It's depressing. My daughter's school is on winter break. Christmas is over, and the last day of the year has finally arrived. The exhausting end-of-year servitude is finally over. This is the end of my work at my in-laws' house. My duties at my in-laws' are done until next year's holiday season. Or so I'd like to say. But New Year's brings its own set of tasks. Various people come to my in-laws for New Year's greetings. Relatives, business associates, friends of my husband's grandfather. My mother-in-law is busy entertaining them. As a result, she dumps even more chores on me. Cooking, dishwashing, shopping, cleaning, answering the phone. I don't even have time to sit down. I eat standing up in the kitchen, squeezing meals in between chores. My mother-in-law and husband are chatting happily with the relatives who come for New Year's. Everyone's had a bit to drink, and their voices are loud. My husband keeps passing drinks to his mother. My daughter is playing board games with the other kids. Everyone seems to be having a good time. I work non-stop, listening to their joyful voices. It feels like I'm a throwback to the wives of a bygone era during New Year's. I'm used to it by now, so whatever. Let's give out gift cards, everyone! Here you go, gift cards for all! My mother-in-law starts handing out gift cards to the kids. Oh, I need to give out gift cards too. I quickly grab the gift cards I'd prepared and head out of the kitchen. Happy New Year! We have gift cards too! Wait, what's going on? When I get to the kids, they all look stunned. Only my mother-in-law is in high spirits. The difference between her and the kids is striking. The children look at me cautiously. What? What's the matter? Well... The oldest boy starts to say something, but stops. He looks at the gift card in his hand, then at my daughter, who has nothing. All the other kids have cards too. My daughter looks down, her face sad. Tracy, starting this year, we won't be giving your child a gift card. Oh, is that so? If there's none, there's none. But why single out my daughter? And to announce it like that in front of the other kids? That's just cruel. The other kids look confused too. Whether she notices or not, my tipsy mother-in-law cheerfully says, "That's right, a gift card from our family would be too much for the child of a dropout." What? I'm stunned by her unexpected words. What? Because I'm a dropout, you'll give to the other kids, but not my daughter? You're discriminating against my daughter for that reason? Discrimination sounds so harsh. It's a natural distinction. I've learned what kind of a person a dropout is over these 10 years. Your daughter probably has the same low-level tastes as you, so it's nonsense to spend money on her. What's natural about that? My being a dropout has nothing to do with my daughter. I lost my cool and yelled, forgetting all formalities. My mother-in-law's eyes widened at my lapse in decorum. Well, what's with that tone? Who cares about tone right now? No parent would stay quiet when their child is insulted. Insulted? Who do you think you are? Your only asset is your youth. You have nothing else. You're a dropout who can only do housework. I'm an executive in a company, far more accomplished than you. That has nothing to do with our daughter. You said something terrible to her. Apologize. And you! Say something! Huh? Me? My husband was snacking on fruit on the sofa. His own wife and mother are arguing, and he's just chilling? Is he dense? What an idiot. Well, about the gift card, He popped another piece of fruit into his mouth, then mumbled, "Why don't you give some money to Mom? You're always relying on her." What? You're the one getting an allowance and relying on her. Can't you see our daughter is hurt? She's right in front of you, in plain sight, from that sofa. The issue here isn't about the gift card, it's about how mother-in-law is hurting our daughter. My son has a point. You should show respect to your in-laws, even if they're just that by marriage. Would you like to take the small amount gift card you're holding? My mother-in-law laughed haughtily. My husband was only interested in his fruit. This is the worst. What's with this mother-son duo? I've always been treated poorly, but this is a new low. Is it because they've been drinking? That's no excuse. You! You're despicable! I yelled at my husband. He frowned. Just then, "Is that all you have to say?" A deep, resonant voice made me flinch. It was grandfather-in-law, who had been silent until now. He was sitting deeply in the sofa, eyes closed, yet he exuded an overwhelming presence. I thought I had already hit rock bottom this New Year's, being ridiculed by my mother-in-law, unsupported by my husband, and neglected by my daughter. Could something else happen? I felt like crying, but I couldn't back down. No, there's more! Yes, I'm a dropout. Yes, I don't have an education, but I work hard. Saying I can only do housework because I'm a dropout is a prejudice. and it has nothing to do with my daughter. When I talked back to grandfather-in-law, my husband looked shocked. Like, are you insane for talking back to scary grandfather-in-law? My mother-in-law was smirking. She must be imagining me getting put in my place by grandfather-in-law. All right, I understand, Tracy. I get your point. Grandfather-in-law slowly stood up and clenched his fist. I braced myself, closed my eyes, and looked down. Ouch! The one who screamed was my husband. Grandfather-in-law had swung his fist down onto my husband's head. My husband was disoriented by the sudden pain. I was stunned. So was my mother-in-law. Grandfather-in-law looked furious. You big idiot! What are you doing sitting on the sofa? Huh? While your wife and daughter are being insulted, you do nothing? Explain yourself. Well, it's true that Tracy is a dropout. If you're going to say that, then I'm a dropout too. I know, but you know I'm a dropout, yet you still belittle people for it? Grandfather-in-law's voice, filled with anger, made my husband's eyes widen. He might have known about grandfather-in-law's educational background, but clearly didn't think it was important. Grandfather-in-law then turned to my mother-in-law. I dropped out of middle school and went straight to work. I saved money and started a company. If what you say is true, then I'm also a useless person who can only do housework. Don't think you can insult me and get away with it. Grandfather-in-law is a man who returns favors and holds grudges. He built his company with that indomitable spirit, and now he's angry, feeling insulted. My mother-in-law started to stammer her defense. No, it's different. I didn't mean to insult you, Dad. I was just saying that Tracy is a dropout. As she said dropout again, grandfather-in-law's face grew even more menacing. Don't think I'll let you forget the struggles I've been through. Do you know how hard it was to be looked down upon by competitors and clients just because I'm a dropout? Yes, I know, but... My mother-in-law was taken aback. Grandfather-in-law was erupting like a volcano. His explosive anger was terrifying. Since you're my dropout daughter, you must also have a poor sense of judgment. Probably why your husband left you. Truly pitiful. Dad, we're not talking about that now. I thought you would have learned your lesson after the first painful experience. Have you forgotten how much you had to pay your ex-husband in emotional damages? You haven't changed. Pathetic. My mother-in-law had a past where her spouse left her, which happened when my husband was in high school. She considers her divorce a stain on her life and gets upset when it's mentioned. I never asked for details. But from grandfather-in-law's tone, it seemed her personality was the issue. I saw relatives who had come for New Year's greetings quietly leaving. What an unfortunate start to the year for them. Spending money on you, who never learns from her mistakes, is nonsense. Once the New Year's holiday is over, you'll be removed from your executive position. You'll switch to part-time. What? My mother-in-law let out a voice of despair, but she couldn't defy grandfather-in-law, who held absolute power in this house. Linus, you're always relying on Mom, right? Yeah? Then you should be the one giving her money. You're the one most taken care of. What? You said it yourself earlier. Was that a lie? Faced with grandfather-in-law's piercing gaze, my husband frantically pulled his wallet from his back pocket. A high-end, beautiful wallet, bought with the allowance from his mother. In his haste, the wallet dove into a glass of liquor on the side table, getting soaked. My wallet was soaked. He pulled out damp bills and handed them to my mother-in-law, who pinched the wet money between her fingers. Mother-in-law picked up the liquor-soaked bill with his fingers. Now, you're next. Grandfather-in-law's eyes locked onto my mother-in-law. He looked like a lion eyeing its prey. You're also taken care of by me. You have something to give, don't you? Yes. My mother-in-law ran to her bag and pulled out her wallet. In her haste, the wallet slipped from her hands and fell to the floor. Here's a rerun of my husband's behavior. I took the money he gave me and handed it over to grandfather-in-law. Thank you for always being so kind to us. Mother-in-law snatched the money and grandfather-in-law handed it to my daughter. Frozen by the adult confrontation, my daughter looked up at grandfather-in-law with fear. Grandfather-in-law spoke in a low, authoritative voice. This is a gift card from me to you. Use it for something that benefits you. My daughter was astonished by the wad of bills, an amount she had never held before. Tracy? Yes. I straightened my back as I responded. It's my turn now. I'm scared of what he might say. Honestly, I'd rather be nagged by mother-in-law. As I waited nervously, grandfather-in-law softened his voice a bit. Tracy, would it be all right if your daughter and grandchild go back to your family home? If it's okay with them, take some food and celebrate the new year there. I have to talk with these two fools. I think that would be fine. Even if my family says no, we're going. It's okay. What grandfather-in-law pointed to was a special New Year's meal. His house, always busy with New Year's visitors, had ordered several such meals. It was the most luxurious one. I braced for mother-in-law's objection, but she seemed preoccupied with what grandfather-in-law would say next. She didn't react at all. I quickly wrapped up the food and cleared the table. My daughter helped me. Then grandfather-in-law said, Let your daughter and grandchild do it. Go quickly. As soon as grandfather-in-law said that, mother-in-law and my husband hurriedly stood up and started gathering the dishes. My daughter and I exchanged the glances and left. My parents were surprised by the sudden visit, but welcomed us warmly. The New Year's celebration at my family home was simple, with no decorations. The meal was also simple, and of course, there was no alcohol. Then came the lavish meal we brought. My parents were delighted and called my in-laws to thank them. Mother-in-law's voice on the phone sounded weak and deflated. My daughter and I stayed for 2 nights and returned home. For the first time since getting married, we had a relaxed New Year's celebration and felt happy. When we got home, a lot had happened. First, my husband and mother-in-law had been severely scolded by grandfather-in-law and had become meek. They stopped complaining and making snide remarks. My husband also stopped siding with mother-in-law. Furthermore, my husband had lost his path to eventually taking over as president from grandfather-in-law. Grandfather-in-law had nominated a successor from among the employees. The person chosen had contributed to the company for many years and was trustworthy. He was well-versed in the business and had the employees' trust. Honestly, I think the company is safer in his hands than in my husband's. As promised, mother-in-law was removed from her executive position and fired before the New Year's break ended. She was rehired as a part-time employee at grandfather-in-law's company. The administrative tasks mother-in-law had been handling were delegated to someone else. That person turned out to be more efficient and accurate than mother-in-law. Between the new president and the smooth transition of mother-in-law's duties, I'm truly impressed by grandfather-in-law's talent in human resources. He's a strong leader, no doubt about it. Mother-in-law's income took a nosedive after she lost her executive position. As a result, my husband no longer receives an allowance from her. The employees who used to flatter mother-in-law for being the boss's daughter have also changed their tune. They're keeping their distance, not wanting to incur the boss's wrath. Mother-in-law has lost the platform where she used to strut around. Now she's working quietly, humbled. My daughter has become more critical of my husband. He didn't defend her when mother-in-law said terrible things, and that's the reason. It's his own fault. After being told by mother-in-law that all I could do was housework, I made up my mind. I started attending a correspondence high school. I used to do housework while my daughter did her homework. But since that incident, my husband has been more proactive about doing chores, freeing up some time for me. I've been using that time to study. My daughter smiles when she sees me studying. She started helping with the housework voluntarily and shares more about her school life. I realized something during this New Year's confrontation with mother-in-law. I had given up on myself, thinking I was just a dropout. Well, it's time to shake off that mindset. Aim for valedictorian. I can do it.